Hello, go ahead whenever you're ready. Okay. Hi, my name is John Pendergraff, and I've got a 7th grader, excuse me, and a 4th grader in Katy ISD. I'm here to speak about the math TEKS, and I understand that this board is about to review the STAR test, and that's going to be rewritten. I've talked to Mrs. Cargill a little bit about this. One thing that's got me really interested in this is when they changed the math TEKS, my daughter went from loving school to now she doesn't want to go. I forgot to bring my stack over. I have 1,500 pages of text for the 3rd grade math from Pearson. It looks just like what the rest of the country calls Common Core, but supposedly it is TEKS compliant. They put an armadillo on the front, called it a Texas book. 1,500 pages. There's no way to cover all that material. And I heard earlier this board speaking about how you cannot basically tell them how to teach, but the math TEKS are nothing but how to do it. It describes process after process after process the kids are supposed to know. 1 out of the 52 TEKS is learn your math fast facts, and it seems like it got about 1 out of 52 of the time the kids spend in school learning math. Every test I see is process. The STAR test is process. Everything my daughter brings home is process. It's draw squares, it's use a strip diagram, it's use a number line. It's as if you're trying to learn how to use a bike, and you start with training wheels. In kindergarten, use a strip diagram, use a number line, count items. But by the time you get to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, that stuff should be behind you. It's as if we're saying, okay, now we're going to move the training wheels to the front wheel of the bike. Now we're going to put one on the front, one on the back, and now we're going to do this. And then you're not tested at the end of the week if you learn to ride a bike. You're tested if you can ride it with the training wheels in every different location. So repeatedly, these children are having to show process over and over and over. And personally, I'd like to see the TEKS re-reviewed and clean it up to where they're taught math and not process. I understand that may not be a possibility anytime soon, but if the STAR test is being reviewed, I would strongly encourage you to make sure that on the STAR test there's math that requires solving a problem and getting an answer, not identifying which of these 5 pictures below represents 5 times 7. Right now, the majority of the questions I see, you don't even have to get a right answer. We heard complaints earlier that in 6th grade, they can't do their science because they can't do division. Well, they can probably draw a picture of it, but they can't actually get an answer. So that's something I wanted to bring up today. I ran for school board over this issue. It upset me so much last year, and I've talked to many, many parents, probably hundreds of them. Almost all of them agree with me. There's one parent that doesn't, but almost every other parent in our district agrees the math has gotten to be atrocious. The kids hate it. I don't think the teachers like it. They pretend to go along with it, but you can see the look in their face. They don't believe what they're telling you. They're all saying, this is great, give it a year or 2, give it a try. We're going to prove this works out, and we're all going, no, this is not working. We're raising a generation of kids that don't know how to do math. Dr. Milgram has basically said as much. He was originally, I believe, involved in writing our TEKS, and then towards the end he said, I'm out, you're not doing what I was said to do. And they tried this in California and it didn't work, and then they went back to another method and they realized it did work. So I hope we can do something about it.
Thank you for being here. Members, any questions? Mr. Mercer?
Yes, sir.
Just just had to ask you, what do you do for a living? It's
Mechanical engineer.
well, perfect then, because this is not a setup question. But in mechanical engineering, are you graded on speed and accuracy or process?
Speed and accuracy.
Yeah, thank you. You understand my point.
Ms. Cargill?
Okay. Yeah, John, thank you for driving over from Katy and for being here all day, and just hope that things with your child are improving, and that's why we're having this discussion, because we are listening to the parents and to teachers as well. So I appreciate you being here in person.
Thank you.
Ms. Miller?
Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate y'all, as a parent, being willing to come and speak out and speak up for your children. And I'm from the Dallas area, and I've been very concerned about the Common Core coming into our curriculum, even though we're told time and time again that it's not in the math. But I'm being told it is in the math. And then when 463 was passed, I believe that's the law, and we were promised that it would, Common Core would be not allowed, to be in any of our curriculum in our 1,200 school districts. And I remember going, when people in my constituents would come up and say, Miss Miller, our school is using Common Core, and I'd say, no, it can't be because it's against the law.
Right.
And they said, no, it is. It's written on the bottom of the thing. So I went back and I read the law, and there's no consequences.
Exactly.
There's no teeth in the law. And I went up to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick at the last, at Collin County Lincoln Day dinner. And he's the one that was the author or got the bill, passed and everything. And I told him what was going on, because he had told everybody it was dead. Common Core's gone. It's all, And I explained to him what was happening. And all he did was shrug his shoulders. I said, what can we do?
Right.
I said, well, we're going to do something. We have to, Now he said, well, you can't take money away from the district. I said, fine, but you can figure out a way to slap their hands.
Right.
And we can do that.
Our district proudly announced there was absolutely no Common Core. Then all the kids came home and showed us their books,
Yeah.
and they said, well, it overlaps, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And while I was running for school board, one of the things the district pointed out is one of the ESCs did an analysis, and they decided the TEKS and Common Core had 68% overlap. I don't know where they came up with exactly 68,
Yeah.
but then they pointed out some minor differences, but saying basically it overlapped. And my main concern isn't defining shapes. Does Common Core say know your shapes, and the TEKS say know a square, circle, and triangle? Whatever. No kid's going to get out of high school not knowing their shapes. But the way that everybody is teaching to the test, somebody mentioned earlier 5 weeks of STAR review. I don't think our district is that bad. However, they teach to that test. They spend days reviewing it. They use practice tests, and we see those come home, and I take them to work and I show them to everybody, and they're just shaking their heads like, what is this? This isn't math. This is not third grade math. The other thing I've noticed, besides it being whether it's Common Core or not, almost everything is a word problem now. We have kids from all over the world in our district that don't speak English. I don't know how, those kids may be extremely math proficient otherwise, but when they have to decipher a paragraph full of useless information, extra information, story about a kid living here and wants to buy a dog cage and they weigh 28 pounds and he needs to, I feel for these kids. If English is not your first language or you have a reading disability, now math is also going to be a sore subject for them as well. Granted I'm old, but when we did it, there was a page of math and then there's a couple word problems at the bottom, because you can't work the word problem unless you can do the math. But we're putting the cart before the horse here, and the kids are not learning their math, and the parents are very frustrated like myself, and I'm printing out sheets every night, having my daughter work through them. But if the teacher doesn't say the fast facts and getting the answers, I think a lot of kids are like this. If the teacher says do it, they do it. If their parents say do it, they're like, well, that's not what we're doing at school. That's not what the teacher said. It was like, well, I'm telling you, do this, learn it, memorize it. Someday you want to know 7 times 8 is 56, just like that. Because when you get 56 divided by 7, you need to know it's 8. Yeah. We all had that drilled into us in the school. It's on the list. They say they're supposed to do it, but they spend so little time on it. It's not emphasized. The kids don't think it's important. And a lot of us parents are just kind of, in alerts, like, what do we do?
Well, thank you. I thank you for coming and speaking out. You're a good citizen to do that, because we've got to do something about it.
Thanks for letting me speak.
I have personally talked to the governor, so
Great.
I'm not going to let go of this. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Randy Hodgins.